Is the gaming industry losing its way? This week in gaming has been quite disappointing to say the least. From the shocking delay of Avowed, Bungie's unexpected layoffs, and the Star Wars Outlaws scandal, it feels like the giants of the gaming world are stumbling. But this isn't just about a few setbacks, it's about a growing trend of missteps that have left many fans wondering, have AAA publishers lost their direction? In this video, we're going to uncover the signs that the titans of gaming are struggling to keep up, and what it means for the future of our favorite hobby. Stick around because what we're uncovering might change the way you see the industry. AAA studios used to be considered the backbone of the gaming industry. With their vast resources and established reputations, they had the ability to bring ambitious projects to life. Projects that smaller studios simply couldn't afford to create. From blockbusters like Call of Duty and Zelda, to groundbreaking experiences like The Last of Us and GTA 5. AAA publishers consistently delivered games that pushed the boundaries of what was possible. But today the landscape is shifting. With modern game engines and freely accessible resources, they've completely leveled the playing field, allowing indie developers to create experiences that rival or even surpass those of AAA studios. Meanwhile, the once unshakable giants of the gaming industry seem to be stumbling. The delay of Avowed, Bungie's unexpected layoffs, and the controversy surrounding Star Wars Outlaws are just the latest examples of a worrying trend. These aren't just isolated instances. This is a deeper problem, and it seems that AAA publishers have absolutely no idea where to go from here. Now, let's dig into these examples, starting with Xbox making the announcement about the delay of Avowed. A game that I and many others were excited for, even with the concerns raised in previous gameplay videos. This game is being developed by Obsidian Entertainment, one of my all-time favorite developers, who created Knights of the Republic 2, Fallout New Vegas, and recently The Outer Worlds. Avowed is an upcoming first-person action RPG set in the world of Aora, the same universe of the acclaimed CRPG Pillars of Eternity, giving off Elder Scroll-type vibes. This game was originally slated to release for fall of this year. Well, Xbox had different plans, tweeting out, "So many games coming out." As such, we're moving Avowed to February 18th, 2025 to give players' backlog some breathing room. What? That kind of sounds like an excuse to me, Microsoft. Furthermore, they also shared a release window for their upcoming titles, and they don't even have any games releasing in this window set in the same genre as Avowed, besides maybe the Starfield DLC, but with that, they don't even have a hard date set for any of them, including Indiana Jones and the Great Circle or Towerborn, which are all slated for this year. This is such a weird way to inform us of the delay. It sounds like an excuse and is very disingenuous. Not because of the delay itself, but because Xbox couldn't come out and say that the game just needed a little more time in development, which I believe is a very valid excuse, and many players probably would be understanding as well. We could see in the gameplay trailers that the game was still a little rough around the edges, with weird color schemes / grading, some janky moments in combat, with a few other minor inconveniences. So, why did the devs just come out and say that they needed more dev time? Well, they kind of did. In reply to MD Ultraverse's comment on the delay, MD stated, "I'm happy Avowed is getting more time. Take all the time they need." And Xbox agreed, saying, "More time to cook." I don't know for certain, but it seems that Xbox was trying to avoid blowback, especially when we look at the criticism that Starfield and Cyberpunk 2077 received.
What?
And rightfully so. These developers have been getting in the habit of releasing titles unfinished and unpolished. Even when they are delayed, they still release in bug-ridden states or worse, lacking content. This isn't the first time that we've seen this either. Bethesda is notorious for this by now.
There's a period once you launch. It's not how you launch, it's what it becomes.
Granted, he was partially correct because Fallout 76 has turned around for the better in my opinion, but there is still a glaring issue. The players are still not being respected. The delays in the industry are not the only cause for concern. This past year have seen countless studios with mass layoffs such as Microsoft's 1,900 employees from Blizzard Activision and Bethesda closing Arcane Austin, Tango Gameworks, and Alpha Games. Then earlier this week, Bungie laid off roughly 17% of their workforce, which have all sent shockwaves through the gaming community. While Xbox handling of the Avowed delay was questionable, these layoffs have left fans and industry insiders kind of scratching their heads. How could these studios, who weren't all performing poorly, face such drastic layoffs? These layoffs aren't just a random occurrence, they're part of a larger pattern of instability within AAA publishers. Despite Bungie delivering a solid expansion, they've been forced to make cuts that could have serious implications for their future projects. In fact, the final shape was really well received by both players and journalists, but is now being review bombed on Steam. It raises the question, what's really going on behind the scenes of these giant studios? The truth is, these layoffs may signal deeper issues within the industry. Just as with the Avowed delay, in my opinion, hints at an underlying development challenge. And with Bungie's layoffs, they might be pointing to financial pressures or mismanagement that could be affecting their ability to continue producing high-quality content. But what does this mean for the future of Bungie and the industry as a whole? Are we seeing the beginning of a downward trend for AAA studios? This issue isn't just related to Bungie or the studios under Microsoft's wider umbrella. This is an industry-wide struggle that is forcing even the most successful companies to reassess their strategies and make tough decisions. So why is that? Why are these companies, some of which have recently delivered successful titles, being forced to downsize so drastically?
I don't know.
A couple of possible explanations lie in the increasing cost of game development, and possibly a mismanagement of funds or company resources. AAA games are far more expensive and time-consuming to produce than ever before, with the likes of games like Starfield reporting to have costed roughly $400 million to develop, and still falling short of player expectations. So with the higher stakes, publishers may be quick to cut costs at the first sign of trouble, even if it means letting go of the talented developers. This creates a vicious cycle where the pressure to deliver big hits with every release leads to unsustainable working conditions, which in turn can result in rushed or underperforming games. Furthermore, the shift towards live service models and ongoing monetization strategies has placed additional strain on developers as well. Studios are expected to continually produce new content and updates to keep players engaged, which can lead to burnout and a decline in overall quality. Bungie's layoffs, for instance, might not just be about financial pressures, but also signs of the unsustainable demands placed on their team to keep up with these models. And then there's the impact of corporate mergers and acquisitions. When large companies like Microsoft acquire studios, there's often a push to integrate them into a broader corporate strategy. This can lead to layoffs as overlapping roles are eliminated, or as studios are restructured to fit new business priorities. It's possible that some of the layoffs at Blizzard and Bethesda and the closure of the sister studios are a result of such reconstructuring efforts. In fact, it's more than possible because this is what happened. Microsoft gaming CEO Phil Spencer pretty much confirmed it as such. So where does this leave us? If even industry giants are struggling to maintain stability, what does this mean for smaller studios and indie developers? Could we be facing a future where innovation is stifled by the financial and operational pressures of the industry? I don't really think so. The truth is, these layoffs are a symptom of a larger issue within these publishers and big studios that could have far-reaching consequences for both devs and players alike. I believe indie is going really strong right now, but we will get back to this later. While the layoffs and restructuring within major studios have been troubling, there's another issue that's causing waves in the community. This time, concerning the credibility of game reviews and content creation. An article on That Park Place recently suggested that some creators and reviewers may have been paid to give positive coverage of Star Wars Outlaws. Now, while I don't fully buy into this theory, it's important to consider the implications if it were true. If these allegations were true, it'd be very disingenuous, not to mention illegal. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, especially when dealing with consuming a product. Players rely on honest, unbiased opinions to make informed decisions about the games that they play. If that trust is broken, it leads to a more skeptical and divided community. This kind of behavior could set a dangerous precedent if studios begin to see paid reviews or favorable content as just another marketing tool. It risks turning the entire gaming media landscape into an extension of a corporate PR. That's bad news for everyone involved, except the companies footing the bill. But here's the thing, transparency and integrity are what separate genuine content from paid promotion. If content creators and reviewers are upfront about partnerships and sponsorships, it's possible to maintain that trust while still collaborating with studios. The key is being clear with the audience, so that they know where the lines are drawn. There are still, however, broader issues with AAA publishers. For instance, projects that have an over-reliance on established franchises, leaning too heavily on sequels and remakes instead of innovating. Or worse, creating new IPs with existing frameworks from their already established IPs, which is essentially an old game with a new skin or fresh coat of paint. Or poor monetization strategies. We've been seeing an increasing focus on microtransactions, live service games, and other monetization methods that frustrate players. These studios are receiving increased pressure to deliver with high demanding quality content in large quantities, which is leading to rush releases, buggy games, and ultimately a very disappointing experience. I mean, just look at the state Diablo 4 released in. Granted, with the most recent updates, the game is in a much better state, but it took them an entire year to get to that point, and is now having a paid expansion being released in early October. I know I'll play it, but it still falls flat with the community with its borderline scummy monetization tactics. Especially when games like PoE and Last Epoch innovate and keep players hooked at a fraction of the cost. I mean, PoE just released a base building feature in their new league, and from what I hear, it is really fun. The community seems to be pleased with it at least. Another example, and I know at this point is overused, but it still rings true. Baldur's Gate 3 from Larian Studios is a key example. It is the epitome of what gamers want to play. Now, it is technically a AAA title with the size of the budget that this game was developed on, but the studio still treated it as an indie project. They asked players for feedback and iterated on it. It wasn't devoid of issues though. However, at its core, it was fun to play. It had an excellent story and had very engaging characters that people from all walks of life could relate to in some way. Heck, even mod communities are making total conversion mods of games better than their mother game. Yeah, I'm talking about Fallout London. I've currently put only about 20 hours into this game, but it is absolutely excellent. So far, it has fixed a lot of my main complaints of Fallout 4, and I would imagine it has a lot more to impress with. The gaming industry stands at a crossroads with AAA publishers grappling with delays, layoffs, and questionable practices. It's clear that significant changes are needed. These issues highlight a broader trend of missteps and mismanagement. I think we should put our efforts into supporting indies over AAA titles. Here lately, the smaller teams seem to have the ability to share their passion. They aren't plagued with having to meet awkward quotas or be another cog in a very massive machine. The developers at these indie studios are more likely to be heard and create games that they're very passionate about. I know I'll continue to play AAA games like the rest of you, but I think I'll be more considerate about pushing my money towards these indie titles. What do you think the future holds for AAA publishers? Do you believe they can turn things around, or is it time for the industry to embrace new ideas and smaller teams? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this video enjoyable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our latest content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.